There is a $1 powder the pet dental industry has spent 2 decades making sure you never think to use on your dog's teeth. It doesn't slow tartar. It doesn't mask the buildup with mint flavoring. It dissolves it at the mineral level. And it has done exactly that for over 100 years, long before a single tube of $14 enzymatic dog toothpaste existed. The pet dental product market generates $2.2 billion a year. The powder costs less than 2 cents per brushing. And there is a very specific reason those two facts have never appeared in the same sentence on any product label you have ever read. That is what this video is about. The powder is baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, the same box sitting in the back of your pantry right now. Before you close this video, stay, because I know what you've been told. You've been told baking soda is too abrasive for dog teeth. You've been told it upsets their stomach. You've been told the pH is wrong, the grit is wrong, that the only safe option is a vet-approved enzymatic toothpaste at $14 a tube that runs out in 3 weeks. Every one of those objections was manufactured inside an industry whose entire revenue model collapses the moment you brush your dog's teeth with something that costs 2 cents. Here is what the research actually shows. Baking soda has a relative dentin abrasivity score, the standardized scale used to measure how much a cleaning agent scratches enamel, of 7. Human enamel-safe toothpaste sits between 80 and 150 on that same scale. Baking soda is not abrasive. It is one of the gentlest cleaning compounds that exists, which is exactly why it works on teeth without damaging the surface underneath the tartar. The tartar on your dog's rear molars right now is calcium phosphate mineral buildup. Baking soda is an alkaline compound. When it contacts the acidic bacterial environment that allows tartar to form and calcify, it neutralizes that environment at a chemical level. It does not just clean the surface. It changes the conditions that allow the buildup to happen in the first place. That is not a folk remedy. That is basic chemistry. And in a moment, I am going to show you exactly why the $2.2 billion industry that profits from your dog's dental disease has worked very hard to make sure you never found out. Farmers figured this out before anyone was selling pet products. In agricultural communities across the American Midwest and rural Canada, working dogs were kept healthy the same way livestock were kept healthy, with whatever was already in the barn. Baking soda was a staple. It was used for wound cleaning, digestion, coat care, and dental hygiene on farm dogs that worked daily and could not be driven to a veterinary clinic every time a problem appeared. These were not reckless practices. These were communities that understood animal health in a practical, immediate way that a $14 tube of flavored gel has no connection to. Dogs on these farms lived long working lives with clean teeth and no dental cleanings, because the cleaning was happening consistently, cheaply, and correctly. The history goes further back than that. Baking soda as a dental cleaning agent for humans was documented in the late 1800s. Arm & Hammer began marketing it explicitly for tooth cleaning in 1907, not as a novelty, but because dentists at the time recognized its effectiveness. The American Dental Association confirmed in multiple studies across the 20th century that sodium bicarbonate toothpaste is not only safe, but superior to many commercial alternatives for removing plaque and altering the oral bacterial environment. By 1992, a peer-reviewed study published in the Journal of Clinical Dentistry confirmed that baking soda-based dentifrice outperformed conventional toothpaste in plaque removal over a 24-hour period. That study was not about dogs. But the chemistry of tartar formation, calcium phosphate mineralization driven by oral bacteria, is not meaningfully different between species. The same alkaline chemistry that clears bacterial acid in a human mouth clears it in a dog's mouth. The United States Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Extension Program published guidance for decades on low-cost animal care practices that included sodium bicarbonate for oral hygiene in working animals. This was not fringe. This was standard. This was what people who actually worked with animals knew. And then the pet product industry arrived, and the math changed. If this is already changing how you see your dog's dental bills, subscribe before we go further. What comes next is the part they really did not want in the same video as that chemistry. Let's talk about money. The veterinary dental cleaning market, professional scaling under anesthesia, Costs between $300 and $800 per procedure, depending on the practice and the dog. The American Veterinary Dental Society estimates that 80% of dogs show signs of periodontal disease by age 3. 80% by age 3. That number should alarm you. Not because periodontal disease is inevitable, but because an industry generating hundreds of millions of dollars from dental procedures has no financial incentive to prevent the problem. A dog whose owner brushes its teeth with 2 cents worth of baking soda every 3 days does not need a $500 dental cleaning under anesthesia. That dog is not a revenue event. The retail pet dental product market, the toothpastes, the chews, the water additives, the dental sprays, generates $2.2 billion annually. None of those products contain sodium bicarbonate as a primary active ingredient, despite the fact that it outperforms their active ingredients in peer-reviewed comparative studies. They contain enzymes, synthetic abrasives, artificial flavoring compounds, and preservative systems. They require packaging, marketing, and retail margin. They run out. They must be repurchased. A box of baking soda costs $1.09 at most grocery stores. It contains enough material to brush a large dog's teeth every 3 days for over a year. It cannot be patented. It cannot be reformulated into something proprietary. It cannot anchor a subscription revenue model. You cannot build a $2.2 billion industry on a $1.09 box. So what you build instead is a narrative. You fund Veterinary Association materials that focus on enzymatic action without mentioning alkaline chemistry. You place product recommendations in vet waiting rooms. You run advertising that frames every non-commercial dental solution as dangerous or insufficient. You repeat the abrasivity claim, the one that falls apart the moment someone looks up the RDA scale, often enough that it becomes common knowledge. They did not need to lie about the chemistry. They just needed to make sure you never looked at it directly. They knew that worked. They knew a vet's casual mention of pet-safe toothpaste would send you to a $14 tube before you'd think to reach for the box in your pantry. They knew recurring dental problems meant recurring revenue. They knew. And now you know too. What I have shown you in the last 8 minutes is one example of a pattern that runs through almost every category of pet care. The flea treatment industry, the joint supplement industry, the coat conditioning market. In each one, the cheap solution that works permanently exists. In each one, the financial math of a recurring revenue model explains exactly why it has never appeared on a product label. I have been documenting these patterns for this channel specifically because the information is not difficult to find. It is just not being assembled in one place and explained in plain language. If you want access to the full breakdown I have been building, the complete list of common pet conditions, the verified cheap solution for each one, the price comparison, and the chemistry behind why each solution works, the link is in the description below. Everything there is sourced. Everything has been tested against safety documentation for both dogs and cats. Everything includes the species and weight distinctions that matter. This video is free. That resource is cheap. Your dog's health does not have to be expensive. Here is exactly what to do. Tonight, with the box in your pantry, you need 3 things. Food-grade baking soda. The standard grocery store box is fine. A soft bristle toothbrush, either a small human toothbrush or a finger brush designed for pets. And something to make the baking soda palatable, because most dogs will not sit still for a powder that tastes like nothing. A small amount of low-sodium chicken broth, no onion, no garlic, verified on the label, mixed into the baking soda until it forms a thin paste is what works. Roughly 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda per session is enough for any size dog. Step 1. Let your dog smell the paste before anything touches their mouth. Put a small amount on your finger. Let them lick it. This is not a trick. It is the step that determines whether you can actually brush tomorrow and the day after that. Dogs that associate the paste with something edible will accept the brush. Dogs that are surprised by it will fight it forever. Step 2. Lift the lip on one side and work the brush in small, circular motions along the gum line. The gum line is where tartar begins, not the center of the tooth, the margin where tooth meets gum. That is where the bacterial film calcifies. That is where the brush needs to be. Spend approximately 30 seconds per side. You do not need pressure. The chemistry is doing the work. The brush is delivering the compound to the surface. Step 3. Do the rear molars last. The rear molars are where the worst buildup concentrates in most dogs because they are the hardest to reach and the most neglected. This is also where the existing tartar is thickest if you are starting with a dog that has never had consistent dental care. On the first few sessions, you may see yellowed residue on the brush. That is the tartar beginning to break down. It is not a problem. It is evidence that the chemistry is working. Repeat every 2 to 3 days. Not every day. Every 2 to 3 days is the documented interval that maintains the alkaline oral environment without allowing bacterial acid to re-establish the conditions for calcification. One important note. If your dog already has visible brown or black tartar that has hardened into significant deposits, the kind that looks like concrete on the rear teeth, those established deposits will not dissolve overnight. Baking soda prevents and slows calcification and breaks down early-stage buildup. For dogs with years of neglected tartar, one professional cleaning to start from a clean surface may be warranted. After that cleaning, consistent baking soda brushing prevents the problem from returning. That is the difference between one $300 procedure and a permanent solution. For cats, yes, this works on cats. The same chemistry applies. The application is the same, with one adjustment. Keep the paste away from the face entirely and use an even smaller amount, roughly 1/8 of a teaspoon. Cats are fastidious groomers and will ingest whatever reaches their coat. The quantities involved here are not a toxicity concern at these levels, but minimizing unnecessary ingestion is always the right call. Farmers in communities across the rural Midwest have been doing exactly this for working dogs for 60 years. The dogs lived long. The teeth stayed clean. Nobody paid $14 for a tube of enzymatic gel to make it happen. This is not a video about baking soda, it is a video about a pattern. The pattern is this. Wherever an industry generates recurring revenue from a problem, a permanent, cheap solution to that problem exists, and the information architecture of that industry is designed, whether deliberately or through simple financial gravity, to keep that solution invisible. Dental disease, flea infestation, excess shedding, ear odor, joint stiffness in aging dogs. The pattern repeats. The math is always the same. The cheap version always predates the commercial version. The commercial version always requires repurchase. You now know one of those solutions. The people you know with dogs do not. Next week, I am going to show you the same pattern playing out in the joint supplement market. A $900 million category built on top of a compound your dog's body already produces, sold back to you at a 4,000% markup, when the precursor that triggers natural production costs less than $1. Same industry, same math, different joint. Share this video with someone whose dog has brown teeth and whose vet just quoted them $400 for a cleaning. Not because it helps the channel, because every share gets this information in front of someone who is about to spend money they don't have to spend. Subscribe if you want to be here when the next one drops. This channel exists for one reason. The cheap fix was always there. Someone just needed to say it out loud.